It was around 7 years ago when I first heard the term financial freedom. And when I first heard of it, in all honesty, I thought it was a scam. And the reason why I thought it was a scam, because I was not in a place of abundance. I was most definitely in a place of scarcity, because I was conditioned in the 9-to-5 rat racy kind of way. But fast forward 7 years and I am now living a financially free life. And I just wish I would have heard or been just made aware of the ridiculous, endless possibilities that we now have in front of us, that we all have in front of us, which most definitely allows us to set our lives up in a way where we are financially free and we can live lives where we're truly fulfilled and happy, as opposed to living in a world where we're working a 9-to-5 job that we really can't stand. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Michael J, and I quit my job around 6 years ago now, and ever since I've been building 6- and 7-figure businesses. And it is my absolute passion and calling in life to teach as many people how to do the same thing. And in this video, I'm gonna walk through the steps and strategy you're gonna need to become financially free. But before we jump into the strategy and the steps, I'd like to just talk through what financial freedom actually means. And what it means is that you are earning enough money from investments, passive investments, that pays you enough money to pay for your lifestyle. So your living costs on a monthly basis, meaning that you don't have to work again. And this doesn't mean that you've got loads of money in the bank and you've got 200, 300, 400 grand and you're just gonna live on that for the rest of your life. No, this means you've got actual investments, whether that's businesses, side hustles, or passive investments. They're bringing you in monthly income so you can live from that forever. And all this means that you can live a life that you really want to live. You don't have to do anything you don't want to because you don't have a boss, because you don't need to work. You don't need to work because you've got all that money coming in, so you can structure your day however you like. Okay, so now we've covered that, we all understand what financial freedom means, because people do get that confused, to be honest. But now we've covered that, the first step in this whole strategy is for you to really dig deep and find out what you really want from this world in this lifetime. And the reason why this is really important is because there's a myth out there that everyone's dream, or the dream on this planet, is to be able to earn enough money so you don't ever have to work again and you can just retire on a beach in Thailand sipping Mai Tais for the rest of your life. And take it from someone who has done that for a number of months, thinking that that was going to be it and that I was living in paradise and my dream had come true. That is not reality. Things get boring very quickly when you're living that kind of lifestyle. And I genuinely believe we have been put on this planet to do good things. That's our core, that's our purpose. And just sitting on a beach, sipping cocktails for the rest of your days will not bring you fulfillment. Yes, don't get me wrong, you will be happy, but it will be for a short amount of time. And it is extremely service level, shallow happiness. Because as human beings, we don't get fulfilled by selfish endeavors, selfish pleasures, which that's what it is. We all might think it's that, but until you have the money and the time to be able to really sit and think about it, you realize that that is not what life's about. And especially as a man, we need purpose. We need a mission. We need to be working on something. And so sat on a beach for 10, 15, 20, 30 years is not going to do anything for you. So you need a map. You need some kind of plan over the next 5, 10, 20 years. How do you see your life? What do you really want to be doing? It might be difficult right now, and sometimes it can take years to really find what's at your true core and your purpose, but you'll have some kind of idea, and you need to get that in some kind of formulated plan or map. And just to give you an idea what that looks like for me, I want to help as many people as possible to see that there's a different path in life. This is why I do these kind of videos, because I want to show people that it's possible for anyone, because a lot of people genuinely believe that just a 9-to-5 job, an unfulfilling, unhappy 9-to-5 job is just the way. And my true core purpose on this planet is to demonstrate that there is a different life, that you can create your own life, build your own wealth, and then you can start helping other people and working in areas that bring you fulfillment and joy. And for everyone else, it's going to be very different. There's no one size fits all here at all. So if you want to make music, for example, there's nothing wrong with that. You are kind of helping people in that sense. You are making music that pleases other people. I know that might seem a little bit far-fetched and left field, but it does. And then eventually, if you become successful in that, you might want to take workshops, for example, music workshops, teaching other kids to become music producers, DJs or whatever, so they can realize their dream in that area. It might be teaching people how to become confident, to become public speakers. It might be that you want to help homeless children or children where parents have died and so they're in foster homes or whatever it is. There are so many things out there that are going to be really at the close to heart to so many different people. So really dig deep, start thinking about this, start taking some notes, do some idea generation type of activity, and eventually you'll get closer and closer to that. Okay, so now we've worked out what we want from life when eventually we become financially free. We now need to put a plan in place so we can make that happen. And what we need to do next is decide what we need to live on a monthly basis. What will cover us comfortably to allow us to live this financially free life? What would you be comfortable with? And while you're doing that, just keep in mind that when you live in this kind of existence, when you're trying to lead a more purposeful life, you're probably not going to need as much money as you think. Now, most people on this planet could live on 2,000 quid a month. Most people could, if they really pulled back all of these extra spends on really materialistic things that they don't need. 2 grand is a nice marker, but you could probably live even cheaper, especially if you didn't need a car, especially if you didn't need a big house, if you've not got a big family, for example. But again, this is one that everyone's gonna have a totally different answer for. And for me, I wanted to make sure that I could live on 2K per month, because I can live on that. It's very comfortable for me. I can have a nice house-ish, nice car-ish, and the rest can cover my monthly expenditure very easily. So yeah, do you really need that Mercedes car, which is something I'm definitely thinking about getting rid of, although it's not that expensive because I got it on a nice deal through the company. But still, I'm wondering, do I still need that car? Can I make my payments cheaper by getting an older model or something like that? And do you need that big house? Do you need that 5-bedroom house when there's only 3 of you living in it? And just all these little things like going out for meals 2 or 3 times a week, getting takeaways 2 or 3 times a week. All of those things, if you really pulled it back to a simplistic lifestyle, get that amount in your head, and then that is what we're going to be working towards. And just one last thing to always keep in mind, yes, you're going to have to make sacrifices and it might feel a little bit painful at first, but you will get used to living a more simplistic lifestyle. And always keep in mind that if you could live without having that shitty boss and having to go to that office 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, just looking forward to the weekends, then it is worth it. Take it from someone that is here right now. Those wins, those little wins of not having to do that, although the pretty big wins, right, are well worth it. So start looking at how you can really rein everything in, start living a more cheaper, simplistic lifestyle, and you will have literally a lifetime of happiness, as cheesy as that sounds. Okay, so on to the next step of this strategy. So now we've worked out what we need to live, we need to now decide what passive income streams we're going to be working on, building over the next 2, 5, maybe even 10 years, but eventually, remember, you'll get there, to cover our living costs. And the way we're going to go about it is to look into what passive income streams there are out there. And passive income streams are basically any kind of investment or side hustle or business that brings you in money without you doing very much work at all, if anything at all. And I say that because there are different types of passive income streams. There are semi-passive and there are fully passive. And they're quite self-explanatory, but very quickly, semi-passive is where you're gonna have to do a lot of work up front potentially, set it up, and then you can kind of leave it going, but you might need to dip in there every now and again to do some admin type of things, and that's what semi-passive is. Fully passive is where you make an investment into something, whether that's crypto or stocks or something like that. You put your money in, you leave it, and then you get passive income without doing any work for the rest of your life. And just to give you an idea of the types of income streams out there, whether it's fully passive or semi-passive. So to go through the semi-passive ones first, so property rentals. And a lot of people think this is fully passive, but if you're managing it yourself, then this is definitely going to be semi-passive because you're going to deal with new tenants, old tenants. There might have to be work done, so you're going to have to phone up electricians, any kind of contractors. Now, if you employ a management company, then this can be pretty much fully passive. Another semi-passive is a business, because you might set up a business, you might set up a structure so it can kind of manage itself, but really you can never fully leave businesses if you've set them up and you're managing them. You might have to touch base with management, or you might be responsible for growing the company. It just depends how you set it up, but usually businesses are semi-passive. Although just something to keep in mind here is that most businesses for the first few years, if you're building it from the ground up, are not passive at all. I'm talking about when you eventually grow it and you set a structure up so it can manage itself. And just a few more examples are online courses, where you create a course, put it online and sell it. You might have bits of admin job to do there, and you might have a community around it where you do coaching and things like that. And something else that I've been heavily involved in personally is Amazon FBA, where you can do a lot of work up front, you can set it up and you can make sales literally when you're asleep, which is essentially passive income. There's still things to do like reordering, PPC advertising and things like that. And in terms of fully passive, so you have got crypto, for example, which I know is very high risk, but it can be very lucrative. And once you put your money in, you can leave it. Once the price goes up, you can take your money out. You've also got stocks, which are very similar to that, right? Where you put money in and it just keeps compounding and you keep it in for years upon end. And eventually you can take money out if you want to. Then I mentioned before about businesses being semi-passive, but they can actually be fully passive, but it's probably not going to be where you're a founder. You might be an investor, a VC or an angel investor. So one of your friends, for example, might have a barber business and they want to do all the work, but they want you to fund it. So you might put 100K in, for example, and you might just be a silent partner sitting back and doing no work. And then from that, they will pay you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 every single month or whatever setup that you've agreed. Okay, so now we've got an idea of how we're going to achieve our financial freedom through these passive income streams, whether that's fully passive or semi-passive, and you need to make that decision. So what we're next going to need to do in this whole strategy is start actioning the plan. And most of you listening to this probably have a 9-to-5, or you might have a business that just eats up all of your time. And what you're going to need to do in this step is work out how you can fit in building these income streams at the side of your business, because that's the only time where you're going to have to do it, and you need to work to live until you're in a position to be able to quit that job and eventually become financially free. And this is going to be very different for every single person watching this video that's going to actually take action on this strategy, because some people might be on 100K a year. That's going to be a very different answer and strategy to someone that's on 25K a year. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. The strategy is just going to be very different. But regardless of what your situation is, you're going to have to put the extra time in. Because if you don't, the brutal honest truth is it just will never happen. So if you don't want anything to change, then that's fine, just carry on the way you are. But my guess is if you're watching a video like this, you do want to make a change. So you're going to have to put that extra time in, but always keep in mind this short-term pain to grow all of these side hustles, these passive income streams will pay its dividends in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So it will most definitely be short-term pain for long-term gain, if you've heard of that saying. But as I said before, it's going to be so worth it. But you're going to need to make this a priority. And I believe this is where a lot of people struggle. I've worked with almost 300 business coaching clients at this point. I would say prioritization and putting this above everything else, you know, whether it's to start a business, to quit a job, whatever it is, people just can't do it because they're just stuck in that 9-to-5 mode, like a robot, just going through day to day, doing the same thing. But you're gonna have to make a change. You're gonna have to make this a priority, work on it consistently, and eventually you will get there. And just one more final thing before I finish this up is that this is possible. I want everyone to realize that this is possible. I've made it happen. I've had clients that made it happen. I've had friends that have made it happen. You just have to believe, as cheesy as it sounds, that there is possibilities out there for you to create wealth, for you to create financial freedom through these passive incomes. There are many, many passive income streams out there for us now, especially with this digital era, as I keep drumming on about every single video. 50 years ago, this would have been a very different story and a very different video. But now we have all these opportunities through the internet. So that is it for this one. Just to summarize, so obviously we need to work out what we want from this life first. There's no point becoming financially free and just sitting on a beach, because remember, that will not bring you fulfillment. Then what we're gonna need to do is work out what our lifestyle is gonna be and how much we're gonna need to live to sustain that lifestyle. Once we work that out, we then need to decide what income streams we want to bring forward, what are going to fit our lifestyle the best, what we can afford at the particular time in our own personal little situation. And then all it's going to take is for you to start putting that action in place while you've got the job that you've got right now or business that takes up a lot of your time, which is going to be extremely painful. But remember, short-term pain, long-term gain. So guys, that is it for this one. Really hope you've enjoyed this, and as always, really hope you've taken a lot of value from it. And if you have, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and until next time,